You may have seen me using my diamond plate holder. It's got 3 diamond plates and it's what I use to sharpen my tools. It's a wonderful piece of equipment. I've never found anything that came better. So it holds my 3 diamond plates in the surface just like this one. This is one I made on a table saw, so you can still see the grooves in there. It works fine, but I want to show you how you make one completely by hand, just using hand tools. Very quick, easy to do, and it's going to change your life if you use one of these like I do. I've cut this square. It's 11.5 by 9.5, dead on. My plates are 3 inches by 8 inches, dead on, hopefully. I'm going to set my square to 3/4 of an inch from the end of the square to this point here. And I'm going to just use this to put a visual onto the surface of the wood, like this. This will show me the overall surface area, the parallel at the edge of the board, like this. That's the exact position, hopefully I want this. So I've got coarse, have I? Yeah, coarse, medium and fine. These are going to be set into the surface. So I'm going to line these up on those lines that I put on. Like that. These, I'm going to do the outside faces, the outside ones first. And this one, I just equidistance right in the middle, which actually should be 1 inch. So if I butt this one up to here, check this here, yeah, it's exactly ½ an inch between the stones, between the 2 outside stones. So I can check myself here and here. You want these dead on if you can get it. Like that. Line them up. Now these may not be dead square. They come from the manufacturer. The surface is actually very good, but sometimes they're slightly out of square. So I recommend that you do each one individually and nudge them to get them as close to equidistance as you can. So here now I'm going with my knife. I just sharpened my knife as well. Whoops, went off the line a little bit there. I'm going through that first level of veneer. This one too. I can see that this is not quite on the line on the top, which means the plate is probably just slightly out of square because I'm dead on this line down here. So cut that surface fibre. That means this should drop right into the recess like this. And they obviously go in the sequence coarse, medium, or coarse and fine in this case. I think I've got coarse, fine, and then I've got super fine. Light pass with this one, make sure it's on course. After that you can go as heavy as you like and it probably won't jump out. There we go. It's better if these are accurately fitted because that will stop them from slopping around in the recess. Okay, next stage, just take a wide chisel. I've got a wider one here, but you can just use a 1-inch chisel down into this face here. Flick. And into this one. This gets me through that first level, and this one too, because it's plywood, you probably won't have any problems. I could feel a little resistance there. Pop out. And you do all of them, and you may well, I'm just going to do one for time, but you can do all three at the same time, just like this. I would suggest being very careful not to chisel into this knife wall, because you could be chiseling under the depth that you've cut. And then it can, because it's plywood, it's striated, so you'd have these different levels. So here now, set this to where it's just barely skimming off some surface fibers. See, I'm not through the first level, so I'm going to turn it until I am. And you'll see a change in colour when I do. So I can see I'm changing colour. I'm going to go a bit deeper. There, you can see the very definitive. So I've gone through the level. This is the glue layer here. So very carefully up to, just nudge up to that outside perimeter knife wall, like that. And we work down the level. And this will take me down pretty close to the depth of cut that I made with the knife. Here you have to be careful. Don't go under the rim of the wall, like this. I've made these on table saws, as I pointed out earlier, but nothing beats this. This is so much nicer. I actually combined the table saw with the router just like this, not a power router. And I was less than happy with the way it felt when I was making it. But when you have 10 to make, maybe that's a better way. It's just like inlaying, not much different, really. So that's level 1. Now I'm going back with my knife. I've left this wall here. I wasn't sure if I had gone deep enough with this one, so I'm in the knife wall. Now it's parting away easily. Nice steady hand, firm pressure. Oops, overshot there, didn't I? It makes no difference. These get very black in daily use, so it's going to be up to you whether it matters. I'm going to seal this. I'm going to seal mine. I usually do, but they get very, very dirty. And the sealing actually stops the water from going into the grain as well. So 2 coats of Danish oil, something like that. Shellac will work fine. Next level, half a turn maybe. Oh, that's a little heavy. Still too heavy. This is really not really too heavy. It's more a change of direction of grain, because I've gone through the early level that I just did, which was with the grain, and this is purely cross grain cutting. So you can see it there, it's actually cutting across the grain, so it's not too deep. A different level. clean. That was what was hanging me up there. There was a knot in the next layer. This was lifting me up, so that gets me down to depth. Just nudge into that knife will rock your plane iron into the cut line. So this is coming crisply here. I'm thinking we're doing fine. How deep am I? I'm probably a 16th, so I think I'm halfway to depth now. I'm going to get this wall here. This one. Gently. You don't want to lose that outside rim to a split, but you can always glue it. If you do go too hard, you can just glue it back in place. Not the goal, but it works fine. And I am there. There we go. Perfect. Now I want to check my depth, see where I am. I am 1/16. So again, back with the knife, and you can take this out and chop it with the chisel if you prefer. Like there, I've got a knot. I'm not sure how well the knife is doing with that. It seems to have done fine so far. Love it, love it, love it, love it. This will last you a lifetime too. Depends on how long your life is, but my expectation is long. Okay. So turn, half a turn. I'm going to go down a little bit deeper. I've not gone through this surface, but I think this actually will take me to depth. There, again, I can see the change in color. That's the glue line, just above the glue line. Doesn't have to be ultra smooth. Just nuzzle that blade into the rim like this. Don't ram it in, because that will split the level if you're not careful. I love it. This is where it gets hard, when you've got a full width here and it's not yielding. But just find that weak spot, that path of least resistance, and nuzzle the cutter into it. which is what I'm doing. That worked fine. So I changed direction there because I could feel that resistance. And that's my next level. How deep am I? Not really sure. One more level. When you come to do the other three, if you do them separately like this, I would suggest you do them all at the same level as you go. If you do, then set the final level by dropping the plane in here, setting it to depth, and then you can do the final pass on the others and get them exactly the same depth. Because you want these at the same height when they're finished. Look at that, beautiful. This feels super smooth in the bottom there. I don't always get that when I'm working with plywood. Nice, very nice. I'm going to focus on the others now. This is 3/4 inch plywood as well, and that's it really. A little bit in this corner. And hopefully that will take my stone just like that. Spot on. So I'm going to do the other two next. One last step really in the joinery or the cutting elements of this is to put the stop on the underside so that you can lock it in the vise. Set the end of your gauge to the stock of the square 1/2 inch and then pull a line across with the knife, gently, carefully, following the rim. That way it's going to be set parallel to the edge. So I've gone through that first level and now I can feel I'm in the second level. Now I can go freehand like this. And I'm just going to take my piece of wood that I'm actually using for the stop and just work this across the grain like this. Just pull it on through like that. And we have to go down on this side the same way we did, but we're going to do it a little bit differently. What depth we go down? I'm going to go down 1/4 of an inch. And my piece of wood is 3/4 by 1/2 inch. And it's the full width of my piece. This is where it's going to go. So I'm just going to give myself a start here, like we did before. That gives a recess, that kind of extrally, it just defines the knife wall more clearly. Same this way. Switch to a chisel hammer if it's easier, but be careful not to go into the wall, just splitting off the surface fibers. It's so easy to go underneath and then split this fragile rim off like that. No, I didn't. That's good. Now I'm going to go with a small tenon saw, dovetail saw here. Drop it into the groove. Whoops. There. I'm with the grain now, but I have to have a depth to go to, so I'm just going to go 1/4 of an inch like that, and 1/4 of an inch there. You can measure it if you want to. So that I don't go too deeply. So you can hear the layers, how it changes. And then I'm going to pop it with a narrow chisel here. Bevel down, go into the second layer or whatever layer you've cleared. Just peel that out. Bevel down into the layer and just adjust the bevel until it's catching the right depth. Go with your router and set it to a depth where it's skimming off the surface fibers like that, and then twist it, turn another 1/4 turn. Instead of going on the outcut, come in from the edge. Another turn. So now I'm in a completely different strata there. Clean up the corners. And now I'm going to go knife first. Turn this 1/4 turn. Refining the cut into the corners. Make sure you get the corners because they'll hold it off. Quite thick, these strata. And one more, I think. That's me through, but I'm on a glue layer, which is that brown layer, and I want to go beyond that because the glue doesn't stick too well to an existing glue lever, so I'm going to go a little bit deeper. Till I get to solid grain, and then that piece that I glue in there will be secured nicely. Now it doesn't matter if the piece you've cut is loose because you're going to glue it into the bottom. A wiggle of glue from one end to the other like this. Just press it in, it'll come up the sides, the glue will come up, see it coming up there? The glue is going to come up the sides, like that. And then you just clamp it in the vise for half an hour. Like this. Just leave that to dry, make sure there's no slippage. So now all we need to do is come back, silicone the plates into the recesses, and that's the job completed. I've applied a couple of coats of finish to this because I think it's much better to apply some finish. It stops water from being, or liquid from being absorbed into the plate holder. Also keeps them clean. And I'm ready to put my plates in, and I've just got silicone here. You can use silicone, you can use an adhesive if you want to, but you don't need very much in here. I'm putting a thin wiggly curl in, that's all I need. No more than that. And I like to be able to pop these out in 3 months' time and reseat them, but all this does is help to seat the plates, cushion them in a way. And I'm going to drop them in place, and then I'm going to put them into the vise this way, just to make sure that they are seated into the recess. Once they're seated, they will pop out later because it doesn't really glue them in place so much. Now they're all nice and level. I'm looking at the edge, I can see they're nice and even. And that's it. That is my finished plates. There you have it. That's all I do. This is perfect now. Lock them in the vise, cinch it tight, get your sharpening. Wow, what a wonderful piece of equipment.